Okay, we're going to start with this is a link to what I've put together for tonight. And I'm going to do that again, so I don't think Tony got it. Oh, more people coming in. So this is the link I sent you all. And from here, you can go to this link. This PHP classes is a very nice resource on the internet, and they allow you to download, let's see it right there, a zip file of this whole application pre-written for you so that you don't have to sit and stumble through and figure out how all these things work and all the pieces fit together. So we're just going to take a look at what's involved in that. I've already downloaded it and put it up on my account on my web server. And once it's here, you have to set up a database in MySQL, which is a different scenario and perhaps a little complicated for some of you. If you have any questions about anything, I'm always happy to explain everything that's involved in all of this stuff. But the most important thing is once that database is created, the config file has to be changed to accommodate the database file that you set up, which looks something like this. So when you download it, all these are blank on the right-hand side, and you have to set up a database name, a database user, and a password, and the server on most systems will always be localhost. Once all this is accomplished, then you have the ability to go ahead and execute the main thing. And I already did this. And this is at chat.duetproductions.com. And all of you can type that in. Here, I'll send you a link to this. And you'll see when you click on the link, it'll ask you for a username, and it'll ask you to pick a color for your text in the chat room. And if you all do that, you're then allowed to type something in on the bottom and then click the send button. And Vlad did, and there he is. And now we're all in this together from multiple locations going through one common server here. So it's pretty quick and simple to get this all working. And I'm going to go through all the pieces involved and how they all fit together and work together. Hey, Ronnie's in. You have no colors. The colors are a drop box when you first log in. So that's just a little fluff on top of the hardworking part of the whole program here. So there's no way to reset and re-log into the system, I don't believe. Now I don't see any colors on my screen either. So, oh well, maybe that's a bug in the program. We'll solve that at some point. So I'm going to go back over to here, and we're going to look at the main page that comes into play. If I can hit the right buttons here. So this is the first thing that happens. It uses a process in PHP called the session. And session is something that goes across all of the PHP programs being used on this domain. It's variables that are global to all the different entities on the one domain. So if you set up a variable called username, it goes through and puts that into the memory of the server, so that when this client does something else, it remembers that username and it says, oh, the username's been filled in, so it does not execute this again. So this is what it starts off with. And it asks you these two questions to put in your username and select the color that you want to use on the system. And once you've done that, it comes back out to here and it starts the chat room example. So the bottom part of this is what is executing the rest of the time that you're on the system. And this comes through and it just has a form on here, and the form lets you type in a message and hit send. And once you hit the send button, it goes up on the stack and appears to everyone else in the chat room. So where did my chat room go? Over here. So we have all our different, yeah, nobody got any colors. So that must be a bug in the system. I'll have to look into that. Like I said, this was not something I wrote. The next important part of this is and I cannot maneuver this, so I'm going to pull this up on my editor locally. Oh, it won't let me do that. So this is the chat class. A class is an object-oriented program that you can call from another, you can incorporate into another program. Let me find my, here we go. So this program is called submit. And this says require the config PHP, which tells it where the database is, and then require once the chat class. And the chat class is what we were just looking at over here. And then it tells it to get whatever is in the chat text. And then it puts that information into the database, into the MySQL database. Let me change the view here. Yeah. So it puts the text, the username, and the color into the chat lines. And then that gets updated on the server. Okay, Patrick is muted now. Sorry about that. And the basic thing about this is what they call Ajax. This gets called when you hit the send button, and the send button takes the information off the form and passes it into another program running off the server. And then that program takes the information and throws it into the database that we have running on the server. And then the other people on the chat room can then see all the information that has been accumulated from the server. Does all make sense, everyone? Oh, no problem, Patrick. Don't worry about it. This is trying to juggle all these things is not an easy process here. So I apologize that I'm running slowly. Any questions from anyone? Seems pretty simple when you take it down into the bare bones pieces of it. I was thinking of taking this and making it into a plugin for WordPress so that people could put a chat room on their WordPress websites. That seemed to me like something that people would enjoy having. But I don't know how much work that would be at this point. Thank you, Tony. So comments, questions? And anyone who wants to ask a question can just turn their microphone on. Let me go back to mine.
I have a question, so Jermaine. So, which version of PHP should I download? I'm pretty new to PHP.
Yeah. Is that Jeremiah talking?
Yeah, Jermaine.
Yeah. So what is your question?
Do I need a special version of PHP with the latest work with this application?
This one is using PHP's written in the last year. It's a current version of PHP. It's not, they've got some cutting edge stuff that I have not really gotten into. This is all running off of the Bluehost server. And it's like, I forget which version it is. We can find that out real quick. 1 second here. So if I go to here and make a new file, call it. It's 7.4.33.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, they've got a version 8, and I can't remember all the, we can take a look at that. Yeah, they're up to 8.2 right now. But most of the web hosting providers that I know of have not gone this far into the future. And they're kind of waiting for all the quirks to get out of it before they switch over. And it's basically, it has more to do with what all the people in the world want to do with their websites, more so than what the writers of PHP want to do in the future. So you've got these two powers working against each other, and the state of the art ends up being what most people want to use. And, it's like, it's what we're familiar with. And they've got some pretty incredible features in the newer versions, but a lot of people don't want to add that to their websites because they don't want to have things crashing on them. At least that's my opinion. Oh yeah. And the other thing they do is they do this system called deprecating. And deprecating is they're going to take this feature out of PHP in the next version. So every time you use that particular feature, it comes up with an error message saying that it's deprecated. And so you get another annoyance in using the newest version of everything until all of your code is up to snuff with the most modern version that you're going to use. So it's can sometimes be annoying too. So that kind of holds people back from switching to the newer versions. It's not as bad as what it was with Windows when Windows was coming out with a new version and everybody's computers would crash. So at least we've gone past that. And the amazing thing is that all of this stuff is what's called open source, so that it's not something that you have to pay for. It's not something that a company is forcing you to go into the next thing. It's like it has to do with what the world wants, not what the PHP company wants. So any other questions? Well, this didn't take 2 hours like I thought it was going to. So everyone understands what we just did with everything, how all the pieces fit together.
Hello. Would you be willing to read a little more in detail? Oh, I see. You just answered my question.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the PHP in particular, just like what's happening where and
Yeah, I guess it's pretty obvious to me, but we'll start with when you pull up the chat, the first thing that it does is it runs whatever's in index PHP. So this is your main program. This is what is running. So this comes through and it says, well, if the username is blank, run this part of the code. Otherwise, run this part of the code, so that the top part here only comes up the first time you go into the program. The bottom part comes up all the rest of the times. And this comes through and it says to load jQuery and to load main.js. Those are two JavaScripts that are running. And that's what allows the send button to do its magic. So if we look at in the JS folder, if we look at main.js, this adds this now gets into JavaScript. The JavaScript runs on your local machine, and it is a vehicle by which the PHP that got loaded onto your computer, it becomes HTML on your computer, and the HTML talks to the JavaScript so that the button called send on that screen will then do this function right here, which is send chat text. And this can be found right down here. So this says we're going to start an Ajax, and we're going to get the URL, the last time ID, and that retrieves data in a variable called data. And then this parses out that data and shows it in that part of the screen. So that view Ajax then has the new chat lines that have been added by other users in the chat. And so if we come over here and look back at whoops. I lost it. Okay. And there it is again. So that's what shows all the information up to the end of the chat session. So all of this is being stored in a database. Let me get back to the other screen here. So this calls the send chat text is what happens when you click the send button. And this says to get the variable called chat input, which is again right here on the index.html, .php rather. So that's taking the chat text. It's taking the username from the session and the supposed color from the session, and something got bugged in there, and throws it all back into the MySQL database using the chat class. And if I come back to chat class, that's over. Come on. It is open. Oh, it's over here. That's why. Open it in the right place. There we go. So this takes the SQL, creates a connection to the SQL server, and it throws the information into right in here. Here it is, set chat lines, chat text. And the execute passes that information into the MySQL database for the next person to be able to look at it on their screen. And if we come over here, and we'll take a look at the MySQL database. So this is the chat database. This is the table that we're putting it into. And here is all the information that has been put into the table. So we have the username, the color, and the text. And all of that is being shown in this method, in this format on the screen to everybody that's in the chat. Any other questions? You're welcome. And I'm not sure why the colors are not working. Well, that's all I have. So if there's no more questions, I guess we'll cut the meeting short. Thanks for coming. It was a blast.
Thanks a lot, Donald. Learned a
You're
lot.
welcome. And if anybody has ideas of what else you would like me to do with you all, I'm happy to look at any ideas you might have. No, I'm using just an editor called Notepad++. Okay, goodbye, everyone.